What's happening, everybody? This is Mike at Mike's Total Dragon Channel, and today I dug out another old wizard that I had in a stack upstairs, and this one is a special edition, so I figured it would be fun to kind of crack this open and take a trip down memory lane, so to speak. And for a lot of you out there, you're very unfamiliar with Wizard, or something you've only ever really heard about through videos or people talking at your comic book shop, give you a chance to take a look at it, see what we had for a comic book, I guess you would call it news, in quotation marks, in the 90s. So this is Wizard Special Edition, and I'm opening it up and looking at it before I started shooting this. I was kind of confused as why it's called Special Edition. I had thought, I had recollection that it was the Image Special Edition, that this was the issue of Wizard they had put out after the Image founders had launched their book, and this was dedicated to covering it. But once I opened it up and started looking at it, it has a little bit of everything in here from all the companies. So I'm not sure how Wizard justified having a special edition outside of, you know, the obvious reason, money. Get out of here, cat. So this is a opening gatefold cover. We've got the Image characters here: Savage Dragon, Shaft, I don't know her name, Velocity or something, is that right? From Cyberforce or something. This is a little small guy, like a little businessman from Wildcats. I don't remember his name. I keep wanting to say Elf or Puck or something like that, but I know that's not right. We've got Maul from Wildcats, Spawn from Spawn, a Wetworks guy from Will Portacio's book. I don't know his name. Is it Dane or Dozer or something like that? And then we've got Jim Valentino's Shadowhawk right here. So these are all the guys that's on the cover. And then on the back of the cover, you've got the Guide to Comics. Finally, a book you can judge by its cover. Yeah, sure. And then you've got, right here, we've got the opening letter from the Big Cheese, Gareb Shamus, ever how that's pronounced. Then a little bit of the breakdown of what's in this issue. I love that Hollywood Heroes is so close to the front when so much of what they speculated and was rumored to be coming out never ends up coming out. We've got this ad right here for EGM. This was the biggest video game magazine at the time. I think its only competition it had was GamePro, but this was like super thick. I mean, this magazine was like huge. It was like almost like phone book size, it felt like. Now, it felt like that at the time. I'm not sure if I picked up an issue now, how if it would still hold that size or whatever, but at the time it definitely was a game-changing magazine. It was really fun to have. You could pick them up, take them to school, and, you know, read them with kids at lunch or whatever. This is what we had before the internet. We had magazines. Previews magazine, which is still in effect, although it's kind of greatly diminished considering Marvel and DC are not even in it anymore. And we've got this interview right here with Stan Lee. It's kind of a real easy interview. A lot of the questions are like softballs. Stan Lee right here talks about he's working on Ravage 2099, and I think he probably worked on that book for like 5 issues. I remember picking up Ravage 2099, and it definitely felt like a book that had been wrote in the 60s. So it was not conducive to, a book that would come out in the 90s. It definitely did not, didn't stick out or whatever. This is probably a good quote. I think back now and realize that all those things we started 30 years ago are still the nucleus of the Marvel Universe. I mean, that's true. Marvel's built upon the foundation that Stan and Jack and Steve Ditko and others laid. Their concept of heroes, they're just like us. They have problems just like us, still resonates with fans. I've been binging, personally, Fantastic Four, and although I'm past the Lee and Kirby stuff, the dialogue is really cliched, but the concepts and the plots and stories or whatever, it really stands the test of time. Stan Lee's greatest creation, Amazing Spider-Man. Now, I know a lot of people, they like to dump on Stan Lee for saying he stole too much credit and didn't give enough credit to others, but I'm not going to be one of those guys. I always say that you can't tell the story of comics without Stan Lee. He, one of the analogies I like to use, I've heard, is he's like a quarterback on a football team. He gets too much of the credit, and yet same time not enough when they're winning. So I mean, it's a complicated legacy that Stan Lee has, that is only made even more complicated by the rise of the MCU and the fact that everyone's passed away now. But Marvel is definitely not Marvel without Stan. One of Rob Liefeld, I remember on his podcast, he said that Stan is basically like Ryan Seacrest from American Idol. He's not the talent on the show, but however, he gets the show moving and he's the focal point of it. Here's the little section about what's going on in Hollywood. So much of this stuff was stuff that we thought we were going to get. It never showed up. They're talking about right here, even when this came out, which is in 91 or whatever, about a Spider-Man live action, and we never got that. We did get a Human Target TV show. Sorry about that. Had to make a quick break away from the action. But yeah, in regards to television and movie comic book adaptations, always in every advertisement about it, there was always, oh, this live action is coming, Hulk is coming, X-Men is coming, or X-Men are coming, Spider-Man is coming, and we would never get it, because I guess that's just the nature of Hollywood. Everything's always up in the air. So the stuff we did get, we would have to be grateful for when we got it. Like they talk about The Flash right here. The Flash was one of the most expensive hours on television, and while every scene showed up on screen, it didn't attract the viewers and lost money. So I guess for the time, the budget for what it cost to make these shows just was not really conducive to making a movie or TV show you know, like the way, or probably the technology didn't exist either. So between technology not being where it is now, and then the cost, that's probably the biggest reason why we didn't get it. But now, instead we would get stuff like Bob Newhart as a guy that draws comic books. But now we're living in essentially a golden age where, you know, all properties are being adapted. Here they're talking about the gimmicks, cover gimmicks of the time. Robin hologram covers. Of course, everyone knows about the Polybag X-Force and Spider-Man issues. Look at this right here. This number is crazy. Black bagged, 125,000. This is a print. Green bagged, 125,000. Green with UP symbol bagged, 375,000. Second printing, 450,000. That's insane. That is insane, those numbers. You know, we were talking about Absolute Batman #1 doing 200, or was it 225 million or something, or 225,000 copies being sold, and that was, you know, big news. That was just a drop in the bucket back then. Of course, the situation's a lot different then than it is now. Then you had a lot of those Spider-Mans going into, you know, grocery stores, drugstores, or whatever. So it's not really an apples to apples comparison. Kind of like an apples to oranges comparison, I guess. Valiant, they had their share of gimmicks. They had the zero issues, which you had to cut out a coupon out of the regular issues to mail in to get that zero issue. Look at this. Here's they talk about the print run of early Valiant. Magnus #1, 89,000. Solar #1, 78,000. Harbinger #1, a low 38,000. Come on. You hit those numbers these days, you'd be doing really good. Malibu's protectors. To me, there's nothing that screamed out more mediocrity, or, you know, just average work. Stuff that did not jump off the page and grab you more than protectors. Now we've got a little tour of what we have as far as comic book history is concerned. We've got May of 1939, Batman appears in Detective 27. April of 1940, Robin shows up. So these are big dates. Marvel Comics #1 right here. These people had no idea what they were starting, and it all starts right here. Superman, Action Comics #1. They had no clue what the future held for this industry. They were just guys trying to make money, trying to, you know, get food on the table and have some regular source of income. August of '62, Amazing Fantasy 15. Giant Size Swamp Thing. This classic Silver Surfer cover here. Conan, 1970. Comics Convention. A personal appearance by Todd. Imagine Todd McFarlane doing a hotel con. That's where he was at this time in his career, doing hotel cons. Now, if it's not New York or San Diego, you don't see that guy. This was a really cool feature of Wizard, toying around. People custom made all their own figures. What's so crazy about all these figures is that they create is that now we literally have figures for every single one of these characters that's appeared. So instead of having to sit there and customize your own Hawkman or Bishop or Tick, you just go and pick him up. Who's who? Did you know the Superman can bench press more than 972.8 million pounds? I did not. That seems like an incredible amount of weight. More creative figures. Got that hottest women category right here. All the regulars that you would expect to see. Lobo shows up on here because when he died, one instance he came back as a woman. Discovering underrated talent. This is where they would kind of talk about books and creators that flew under the radar. Bart Sears. He actually did an art segment for, oh yes, that great undiscovered talent, Marc Silvestri. But Bart Sears, he actually did a segment for Wizard, Brutes and Babes. Some artwork is what he would show people. He would do like a little tutorial page on drawing. This was another great section of Wizard, the amazing art. Fans sent in their covers. Tim Skipper with a great Storm right here. I enjoy that as someone who's a big fan of Storm. Tim Burton Penguin right there. And then they just give a breakdown of each company, what they do or what they're really known for or whatever. We've got Marvel, DC, or as they refer to as Marvel's Distinguished Competition. Advertisement for Hardcore with a Jim Lee cover. It's crazy that Skybox is number 3 right here. That just goes to show you how big cards were in the 90s. The number 3 company that they mention here is just for cards. Then you've got Image, Dragon, big in the 90s, Spawn. Valiant, which is no longer with us. Well, they are, but they're not what they were. Seems like they're perpetually starting and stopping and coming back and relaunching. Dark Horse is here, but I think they're hanging on by a thread. I'm not really sure if they have anything outside of just having picked up the Millar books and the license after they lost Aliens and Predator and all their movie tie-ins to Marvel. Mirage, I think Mirage is gone. Malibu's gone. They got bought out by and absorbed by Marvel. Tundra's gone. Then we've got some of the big creators right here. Frank Miller, John Byrne, Johnny Redbeard, Rob, Mark. Criminally underrated right here, Will Sportatio. I think the biggest thing that really kept him from taking off is when he left and joined Image, he had a lot of delays with Whitworks. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard that it was because he had some tragedies in his family, and that really prevented him from getting back and getting books out on time, which as it should. You know, you have to prioritize your family. But I think if he had been able to get those books coming out regularly, he could have built himself up more of a fan following. He could have been on par, you know, with the Larsons and McFarlanes or whatever. It's crazy that when they launched Image, Erik Larson here was one of the guys who was probably not as he was definitely not a big a name as Todd, Jim, and Rob Liefeld were, but right now he's the only one that's still doing books. He's still cranking out Savage Dragon. Everyone else, they don't really put out work. Todd puts out work, but it's not any pencils is what he puts out. Jim Valentino, I loved his Guardians of the Galaxy. Peter David, of course, always a strong writer. I don't think either one of these two, or if they are doing work, it's on some. If they are, let me rephrase that. If they are doing work regularly, it's not on anything that I know of. Advance Comics, that was basically just like a previews magazine. A couple of other guys. Howard Mackie, known for so much Ghost Rider. If you were in the 90s, and you were a Spider-Man fan, Mark Bagley is your Spider-Man artist. And of course, Walt Simonson, him and Weezy are the nicest people in comics. San Diego Comic-Con. Which I have never been, but from everything I've heard and I have seen online, it is a far cry from what what the layout shows here nowadays. And this is a list of all the companies and dealers that showed up for the con, what booth and location they were at. It celebrates pop culture, not just comics. I feel like from everything I've heard, now it's just pop culture. Marvel cards by Skybox. Series 2 is my favorite. Series 3, I think Erik Larson did all of those cards, although I could be mistaken about that. And then here's the ad for $20.99. All the titles that they were going to launch. Of course, Spider-Man. You know, everyone knows Spider-Man 2099. Ravage was probably the weakest of these launch books. Punisher was fun. I always recommend Doom 2099 to people because it's such a different book than anything people are used to, because it's the one superhero book where the main character has zero self-doubt and 100% confidence. I mean, he is Doom, and Doom is going to succeed. He does face setbacks in here, but it's crazy because he never lets it deter him. He never thinks that he's going to be anything but successful, and he's going to recapture Latveria. So that is a wrap-up for this special edition of Wizard. Bit of a flashback Friday right here. So that is it, and you guys take care, and I will talk to y'all next time. Bye-bye.